Does your business have a passion for customer service? Do you want to give your customers that personal touch? We print, pack, and hand address your marketing material and ship it directly. At Olde School Marketing, we're just crazy enough to hand address every envelope. A handwritten envelope is 6 times more likely to get read than a printed one. Give your customers a personal touch that will lead to lasting business relationships with Olde School Marketing.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join me and my very good friends at Olde School Marketing to learn about how their powerful programs can help you generate more amazing leads for you and your team to write more new business. We will make this a powerful call. I really want to thank you all for taking time. And I want to thank our good friends, Rusty and Michaela, for being such a big part of CWC. Are you guys getting ready for Vegas?
Yeehaw!
Yeah, we are.
Guys, we are 1 month away from Vegas. For those of you watching, we still have a few spots left if you're interested in coming to the CWC Vegas event, August 11th and 12th. But thank you for being wonderful partners with CWC, and thank you for all that you do for our member agencies. Now, let's pass it to Michaela to kick us off. Thank you, Michaela. Thank you, Rusty.
Yeah, thank you, Joseph. So I wanted to introduce Olde School Marketing, and I have Rusty on. If you guys watched our presentation last year, it was just me, but we decided that we wanted to introduce you to the family. So who is Olde School and what do we do? We are a family-owned operation. So Rusty is CEO and my father, and I am Vice President of Sales and Marketing. And we are just a whole family organization over here in Berryville, Arkansas, so small town USA. So to kind of tell you a little bit about what we do. Whoops, didn't mean to play that. All right. So we have a video that we decided not to show on this presentation just because it's a little laggy, but Joseph said that he'll upload it on the recordings if you want to go back and see it. It's a little snippet of, kind of shows you our mail house, what our mail house looks like. It stars my sister and my Nana, all of which are included in this organization we have going on. And then we also show our small town, like our square, where our building is, so you just have an idea of where Olde School Marketing is and who you're working with. So our key to success and what makes us us is our envelopes are 100% handwritten by people. So we have a lot of different campaigns that we offer: home marketing, auto, commercial. We have a greeting card subscription. We do everything under the sun, condos, win backs, that sort of thing. But I just wanted to show you a little bit of what we do have to offer on this slide. And then over here on the right, you can kind of see pictures of what the mail house looks like. So this is where, when you have mailers with us, where they're at before they go out, what's going on behind the scenes, a few of our machines that we operate, and just kind of give you an idea of where your mailers are coming from. So here we have our home insurance campaign. So our home insurance campaign is our bread and butter for our insurance agents. We are lead specific, so we will pull the data for you. If you want to provide your own data, you can, but we are data brokers, so we can send you data lists and use our own data as well based off of filters that you prefer. And then the envelopes, like I said, are hand addressed. So we employ members of our community, whether that be retired veterans, stay-at-home moms. We have a wait list of people as well. So as our volume increases on a monthly basis, we just go down that wait list, and we have multiple handwriters within our community who, like I said, hand address these envelopes. So the envelope, it looks like kind of what the picture shows on the slide. You have a return address on there. It is lead specific as well. And then of course there is a stamp on, and it's an actual stamp. So it's still bulk mail, but we have an actual stamp that goes on that envelope. And then we have multiple flyer options for you to choose from. So we can design a flyer specifically for you if you would prefer. But as you go through the onboarding process, we'll show you flyer options, and you have full creative control over what you want those flyers to say. So we can design it specifically for you. And the quotes on that flyer are also lead specific based off of a matrix we've created. So how we land these is very important to understand, because it's probably completely different than what you're used to. So we're going to land each individual envelope based off of that specific X date. So from behind the scenes perspective, what that looks like is we're going to organize all your mailers into different batches that are scheduled to go out with a mindset of a 2-week delay time frame. So depending on where you're located in the US, if you're in Tennessee, for example, so closer to Arkansas, we're going to pull those X dates 30 days out. So for example, your August send out is going to be for September homes, September send out for October homes, and so on. If you're on the coast, left or right, we're going to pull you out 60 days. And the reason for that is USPS snail mail time, right? We want to make sure that we're landing these right around that X date or that renewal letter. It's better to be too late than too early in this game. If you're too early, then they might not be in that mindset to call you right then and there. But the name of the game is to make sure that they see the renewal has gone up compared to your teaser quote, and they're going to call you first, right? So with that being said, and then being sent out based off that individual X date, this is going to spread your calls out throughout the month, right? So it's going to take a full 30 days to get your full volume out the door. So whether you do 1,000 mailers or you do 50,000 mailers, right? It's all going to be spread out throughout the month based off that X date. And you will get a breakdown at the beginning of the month that'll show you how many are scheduled to go out each week. So all of that to say, it takes 90 days to really get this ramped up. I need 90 days to work with you. My sales team needs 90 days to work with you to make sure that we're doing the right strategy for your particular agency. Every agency is different, so every marketing strategy is different, right? So 60 days, typically we want you to be at a 0.5 to 1% return rate by that 60 days. So it's going to take 30 days to get you out the door, your full volume out the door. 60-day mark is when you're going to start getting calls. And that's when we'll work with you to figure out if there's any changes we need to make, whether that be your picture on your flyer to the demographics that we're sending to, what do we need to look at to make sure that you're getting the best return possible. So that way by 90 days, we want you to be at an average of 2% return, right? These are handwritten, so you should automatically be getting a better ROI than a non-handwritten envelope. So 2% is our goal. I don't walk away from a campaign and let it roll until I see the average of 2%. And so then I have add-ons that I wanted to put on here. Rusty will touch base on those in a bit. But if you just look, I wanted to make sure that you knew that all of these add-ons that he's going to talk about work for every campaign that we have. So here we have our auto mailers. So last year when we talked, we were doing auto mailers, but we have improved this auto mailer campaign over the last year with 2 different options. We have an option to do lead specific with auto details and specific quotes for that, or we have an option to do a more simplified, generic, there is no auto details on that flyer. Obviously, you're probably going to get more return from a auto specific mailer. The data is just a little bit more expensive. So we have 2 different options for you, all of which are handwritten envelopes. So here we have our alternative campaigns. So we do condo, which works just like home. It's just for condos, primary residence and condos. And then we have our greeting card subscription. And I want to touch base on that briefly. What that is you have a monthly subscription cost, and we have different packages. And each package has a number of greeting cards that you get each month. And then you let us know, this person wants a thank you, or we want a thank you card. What memo do you want written on that card? And we will hand address that envelope. We will send it first class, John Hancock, that sucker, and you will get all of your greeting cards throughout the month. So we do Christmas, thank yous, whatever kind of greeting card that you want, we'll do it for you. I have some agents that put their personal greeting cards in there as well. Send a birthday card to my mom. So we'll do that for you. And then of course we have new movers, where we'll send, let's say anybody who's moved into your radius of your agency in the last 30 days, we'll send them a little letter that says, hey, I'm your local insurance agent, let me help you. And it will be in a handwritten envelope as well, win backs. And then we do fulfillment. So if you want to put business cards in your mailers, we will do that for you. We do business card magnets. And then we also do merchandise, coffee cups, t-shirts, whatever you want marketing wise, banners, we'll provide that as well. And then let me introduce you to Rusty. So Rusty's going to talk about our new school marketing. So over the last year, like Joseph said, we've had a lot of add-ons that we can put with our campaigns to increase your ROIs. So on top of your mailers, we have these specific things that are going to increase those impressions. So Rusty, take it away.
Hello, everybody. It's good to be back. So I don't want to get too technical here, but I'll walk you guys through some very specific ideas that we have. When it comes to digital, there's a lot of things that go into that, and money is all over the place. So we customize everything. So based on your agency, what you're looking for, what the budget is, et cetera. But what I like to do is, so we've already got the data. We've got your data on a monthly basis, and we know who those consumers are. And I'm able to go out there and match that data and find emails as an example. And then we're doing email blasts. So the idea here is we go out, we send out the handwritten direct mail, they land. A couple of weeks later, we start emailing them with your information, and we start dripping out emails every 2 to 4 weeks, depending on the campaign and what we're looking for. So there's a whole email engine on the backside of the direct mail that really just kind of supports the direct mail efforts. Those emails are yours, and you get to keep them for the life of the program. And it keeps building and keeps getting bigger. And so over time, between direct mail and email, you've got a really nice cadence going on from a marketing perspective. And then if the budget allows, we can get into the social side. So we can take those same consumers and we can target them with ads on Google or Facebook or, platform of choice, LinkedIn, et cetera, depends on what we're going after. So there's lots of options. And since we know who everybody is, it's easy to go out there and tag them and get, a lot of hits go into your agency. So if you look at, the average sales process is between 7 and 14 touches before you close a policy is kind of on average. What we're trying to do is get you into that rhythm where you got the direct mail going on. Then a week or two later, we got an email dripping out. And then a week or two later, you're starting to see that up on social and Facebook, and you're becoming famous to that consumer that we're trying to target. So there's just a lot of different neat ways that we can try and get your agency in front of everybody. So that's kind of the digital side. And then we're actually partners with a company that's helping different agencies throughout the US with financing. So whether it be financing just for marketing efforts or just financing for your entire business, reach out to Michaela and we'll get you in touch with those folks. Some decent programs out there that aren't banks. So banks are hard to deal with, as everybody knows. These financing options get out of that banking world. So back to you, Kayla.
All right. Well, I wanted to let you guys know that we are offering a special. If you sign up with us from this webinar, we'll offer you 90 days of the free call tracking system. So we'll provide a lead tracking number, and it's an online portal where you can go and you can see how many calls you're getting, and it'll track you or it'll help you track exactly how many calls you're getting. And that'll help us on our end to see where you're at that 60 days and how to close you up by that 90 days to make sure you're at that 2%. So this is my contact information. Jot it down, send me an email, and someone, either I or someone from our sales department, will contact you within the next 24 hours and help you get started.
Well, that was very concise. I was thinking it was going to be about 15 minutes, and you hit it right on the dot, right? Really, really good and very informative. I have a lot of questions. You ready for some questions?
We are.
Okay, good. So Margaret wanted to know, is it postmarked? And if so, what does it say? So like, what does it say once the stamp
I'll
goes
take this
in the mail?
one. So postmarks vary. We have several different points that we ship through, everywhere from Fayetteville, Arkansas to Memphis, Tennessee, down to Dallas. So it depends on the zip code and the details of the mailing. And we try to get it to the correct DC, which will then stamp and postmark that. So there's not one answer for one agency. Our goal is trying to hit that 2-week window, and we know which DC to ship it to maximize that time frame. So there's not one answer for every agent. And in fact, I've got one agent in Houston. I believe he has about 15 to 20 different postmarks.
Wow.
Because we're hitting so many zip codes and so many different DCs, you can imagine how complicated it gets.
And how often are the customers really studying that, right? Let me see, is this local or not, right? It is a hand stamp, right? Isn't it like a real stamp?
it's a real physical stamp at the top on the
Real
right.
stamp.
Yeah. It's got like a farm scene, or
Yeah.
we've recently upgraded that to something kind of cool. But the actual postmark is different. So that's actually metered
Yeah.
at the post office itself. And that's the real question they're asking for.
Right. And these are literally hand addressed by people in your town. How many
Yeah.
people do you have on your team that do the
We
addressing?
have we have about 175 people on our
Wow.
roster right now, but we have a waiting list. So as our volume increases each month, we just go down that waiting list. But we are the second highest company in Berryville that employs people in our community. So yeah, when you're working with us, you're working with Berryville.
Very cool. And just as a reminder, everybody, I'm seeing some questions in the chat. It's hard for us to moderate those. Move them over to the Q&A. Let's fly through these. Kathy, my friend Kathy, asked what the 60-day ROI is. I missed that. So can you go back to what you were talking about, the 60 to 90-day time period?
Yeah,
Frame?
so with any direct mail campaign, you want to give it time, right? You got to give it at least 90 days. And I would say that for if you're doing postcards, if you're doing handwritten direct mail. But for us, it's very important to know that it does take that 90 days. And the reason being is because we're handwritten, right? First and foremost, and also because of how we send them out based off of the X date. So the first 30 days, it takes us in the entire 30 days to get your first volume out the door. And I don't care if you're doing 1,000 mailers or, like I said, 50,000. It's going to take 30 days to get your full volume out the door. That doesn't mean in 30 days they've all landed. It means in 30 days they've been shipped out. So behind the scenes, it takes about 2 weeks to get you onboarded, and the first batch is handwritten, right? A week to get you onboarded, a week for handwriters to start handwriting that first couple batches. And then it takes about 2 weeks for USPS to do their job. So again, 30 days before they even start landing. So 60 days is when people are going to start calling, right? And remember, we're typically 30 days out on the X date polls. So for example, August send out is for September homes. So you're not going to get August mailer calls until September, typically. So September is when we want you to be at that 0.5 to 1% return rate.
And when you say return rate, you mean phone calls?
Phone calls, yeah. So for 1,000 mailers, I want you to at least get 10 calls in 60 days. And out of those 10 calls, communicate with your rep, whether that be me or somebody else. What are you hearing, right? There's always going to be somebody out there who doesn't like your picture on the flyer, or doesn't like the design, or are the demographics off? Are the quotes off? Are they too high? Are they too low? We have a good idea where to put you out for that first month, but that 60-day mark, any feedback you can give us will help us adjust your strategy. So I kind of said it in my presentation, but it's my personal slogan. Every strategy is different for every agency, and we need that at least 60 days to get you there. So by that 90-day point, right, you're 3 months in, your mailers have been floating out there long enough for you to be at that 2% return. So 20 calls for 1,000 mailers on average. And I'm sure Joseph can tell you with direct mail, it's direct mail is kind of like a roller coaster, right? Some months are going to be higher than other months. July is going to be better ROI than December. But it's not about the monthly ROI per se. It's about at the end of the year, did we help you reach your bonus with our mailers?
No, that's such a wonderful point. You know, every single person on this call likely has enhanced commission opportunities, whether it be heavy on the newer business or annual or quarterly bonuses, but just about everybody on this call has the opportunity to earn enhanced commissions, often monthly, right? Y'all, what we have to realize is that the return on investment, the long-term return on investment, the average customer stays with a captive agency just over 7 years. Just over 7 years. Think about that. So if you're getting enhanced commissions and it's helping you get to that tier, annual bonus, by the time you get that first renewal, you're likely paid back. Everything after that is pure profit, right? You're building your book. You're basically buying a book every month. Every month you're buying a book. You're paying your staff salaries and commissions. You're paying for leads and marketing. You're basically buying a mini book each month. And maybe it takes 6 to 18 months to pay for itself, but after that, it's nothing but pure profit. And you know what's beautiful in this industry? Now, some of y'all might be saying, Joseph, shut it. What are you talking about? Rate increases. I know that right now we're all challenged with talking to our existing customers about rate increases, but y'all, it's a very small percentage. It's a very small percentage of the actual customers that we talk to. Most just pay their bill. Rate increases are amazing at helping you grow. They really, really are. So you write a policy today, in 7 years, it's not going to be the same rate. So just keep all of that in mind when you're measuring the ROI. Now, Michaela, I had about 7 people ask the same question. You guys can probably guess what it is.
Price.
Pricing and different models that you might have. Somebody asked my other friend, Charles, or no, somebody said, is there a minimum number? So can you guys just kind of talk through? I know it'll vary by agency, but can you talk through that, Rusty or Michaela?
Yeah, I'll take this one. So pricing is, we do have a pricing breakdown based off volume, but I don't like to quote anybody until I see, first of all, what is your budget? I want to know everyone's budget up front. How can we work with you? Should we put all of your money, all of your budget in the home campaign? Should we split it and do home and auto? Should we do home, auto, and condo? We offer so many different campaigns that I want to make sure that we're doing, we're using your money wisely. So first of all, I want to know your budget. Second of all, zip codes, right? So we are exclusive. No other insurance agent can own your zip code that you own, right? I want you to be the only one sending handwritten direct mail to these leads. So what zip codes are available? What volume do those zip codes pull based off of filters? Home value, age of client, do they own vehicles? Do you want that filter? There are things that we need to discuss to dwindle down. Okay, this is the number that we're looking at each month. And then, yeah, we do have a pricing structure based off that volume, but again, it's all going to be agent specific on pricing. So you can know that the most you're ever going to spend, if you do 1,000 mailers, right, we're looking at 85 cents. The lowest ballpark that you could be spending is looking at about 67 cents. So there is a big, broad range. And again, I just need to know, I need to work with you to figure out what that quote will be.
And those additional add-ons that y'all have, the email marketing, the social media marketing, those to me are no-brainers to consider. And I imagine that's pretty scalable, right? That maybe that's not going to break the bank necessarily. Would those be smart add-ons that many agencies would probably want to be able to add, and it would be an affordable way to really get a bigger bang for their overall buck?
Yes. So email marketing, we got to pay for the actual software that we use to actually send the emails. And I see one of the questions is, how do we ensure that it makes it into the email? The real answer to that question is that's not possible, because every client is different. I can actually go out there and target somebody as spam, whereas Michaela says, no, it's not, and it's okay. So every human manages their own. You've got way too many answers and too many filters and too many security variables out there to know exactly what's going to land, what's not going to land, what's going to go to spam, what's not going to go to spam. But overall, and I actually use this myself for Old School Marketing, it performs quite well. Not much is going to spam. And one of the things that we do is we got a dedicated IP address that we use ourselves. So, and it's already primed up and ready to go. So there's a ton to this. I'm not going to say it's inexpensive, because the data alone can get tricky. Like if we're trying to match and get an email address, if you guys have priced emails out there, emails are expensive. We got to find a real human that's got an email address and pair that with what we're trying to do in home. And so it gets more expensive, but you know what? It's totally worth it if we're pairing and we're trying to match. If we're going out there and we're doing a direct mail piece, we're sending out an email blast, and then we're popping something in there on Facebook as an example. The ROI should be awesome. Should be an amazing experience.
Now that brings up a great segue to my good friend David, who asked, where are we getting all this data from? If you don't mind kind of talking about the different sources or where you guys get this data. And then we already answered this question about the 2%, is that open rate or call rate? So we're trying to get at least a 1% open rate within the first 30 to 60 days. And it could be more. Call rate, not open rate, call rate.
It's handwritten. It's a handwritten envelope. They're going to open it.
Through the roof.
What's on the inside of that envelope that's going to make them call you? And and that's what circles back to, give me 60 days at least to figure out what I need to put in that envelope to get them to call you, right?
Yeah.
So
and something that we always say is there is a tail to direct mail. I will literally never forget this. I will never forget, a couple years ago, we had a customer or prospect mail one of our direct mail pieces in with a check, Michaela, with a check, like for the dollar amount that was on the mock quote, right? And Kinsey, my front office girl, she's like, what do I do with this? I can't find a policy. I'm like, dude, that's not for a policy. That's for a quote. Give it to Beth. Beth called her, sold her. You know, our home price was probably $300 or $400 higher, probably. But anyways, not to divert from David's question. Can you talk about the quality of your data, sourcing, stuff like that for everybody to know?
Yeah, our data comes from about 5 different sources, and it's continuing to grow. What I've experienced on the data side, and we're our own broker, we go out there and find the right data for the right state in the right industry, and it gets very complicated. As most of you are probably Allstate agents, and you already have a subscription to DataAxle as an example. Sometimes DataAxle is great. In some states, there's like 2 that DataAxle it performs quite well. Most of the states, it's not. So we know what data and where to get it from based on state. Sometimes it varies by zip code and it gets very complicated. But I'm always trying to find the right data for the right scenario. And it really is that different. Just like there's not one insurance agency that's going to have the best price for every customer out there. It's the same in the data world. And we got to go find and cultivate and find the right path for you and where to get that data from.
Awesome. I have a question here. Is the sample quote customized based on the size of the home, or is it generic? Can you talk about how customized each home quote is?
Yes. So we have a matrix that we've created. And any onboarding rep will help you work with you to figure out where we want those quotes to be. So what that matrix is going to take into consideration anything that we can pull on that lead. So yeah, whether that be value of the home, right, age of the home. Typically, it's those 2 factors mainly that we're going to use to generate this quote. And then you as the agent have the control over how high or how low you want that quote to be. Typically, I coach, depending on the area, of course, I coach about $400 difference than the probable premium. So the matrix that we've created that your rep will walk you through, just keep that number in mind. You want that number to be about $400 less than that probable premium. So you want it to be cheaper than what they're paying now, right? So they call you first before they renew, but you want that number to be reasonable. So, but it also depends on the area and it depends on the agency. So when we are onboarding you, I want to know, how do your people sell? How many sales reps do you have? And how are they at handling objections? How seasoned are they? Because I have some agents who will throw $200 quotes on there. Everybody knows that no one pays $200 for their home insurance, but they're happy. They ROI every month. They've stuck with me for 2 years. I have other agents who send quotes that are about $100 different, and they're happy, but it works for them. So it's all going to be based off of, when we're working with you and setting you up, what are you comfortable with, but also keeping in mind that the lower the quote, the more calls you're going to get.
I will say this also in conjunction with what Michaela just said. If you're listening to Craig Wiggins coaching, and you're following their examples on how to overcome objections, that's really what this is. We're going to land phone calls to Craig Wiggins, and those phone calls are going to have an incorrect quote on there. And then you, the insurance agent, hopefully know how to overcome those objections. And Joseph's team will tag team with you and teach you how to do that. But it's a big part. One of the questions is, what's the close ratio? Well, that's impossible to answer, because honestly, I think if I gave 2 quotes to Joseph, he'd probably close 2. Whereas if I got a brand new agent sitting over here that has never worked in the insurance world before, he's going to close 0. So there is no direct answer to what's the close rates. It varies by individual.
Well, you both bring up very good points. We must train our staff how to work these types of leads. And every 3 or 4 months, I do a live training on how to work direct mail. All of those are all recorded. We've also got some chapters on the platform, plus the direct mail talk path script is on page, I believe 9 or 10 of the CWC script. So we have a 30-page script that teaches how to work basically every lead type, how to do the most important parts of the sales process, like building rapport, leading with liability, assumptive bundling, assumptive closing, overcome objections. But anyways, it's an estimate. All right, it is an estimate. I am so glad, Rusty. I'm so glad that you gave us a call. I'm so thankful that you received that estimate that we sent to you, Rusty. You, honestly, my friend, you're the exact type of customer we're looking to help here at Craig Wiggins Agency. So I just need to get a few details from you so I can finalize and give you your specific quote right now. Rusty, let me start with your address. Boom. How many square feet is your home? Boom. Like, just get back in. You got our estimate. Great. Thank you. Right? Tell them up front, y'all, that it's an estimate. Right? Don't just wait till the very, very end. Tell them up front. Now, they might object. That's okay. We teach how to overcome those initial objections and the closing objections, but we don't have time to do that in this call. So we got a couple of questions here. The tracking. So Manny, my friend Manny, wants to know what kind of data do we get with the call tracking? And also Diane asked, if I'm with Allstate, can I use the call tracking system, or are we limited to AAV, which is Allstate Agency Voice Phone System? Can y'all just talk a little bit more about the data that they have access to?
Yes.
Can it be routed to whatever phone system they have?
So the call tracking software that we have, you get what I call a dummy phone number. It's like a ghost phone number. This phone number it's what actually tracks the phone calls. So once that number is hit, it's immediately, it's a seamless process. It hits that number, immediately dials the phone number that you give to us as the agent. So you'll never know it's really going on from an agency perspective. So what goes into that is, I just pretty much told you, you're getting a phone call tracking scenario, but it also tracks how long were you on the phone? Was this a 2-second phone conversation, or was this a 1-hour phone conversation? So you're going to have that kind of analytics in there. This system, I built it to be way more robust than what we're actually utilizing it for at this time. But as you guys progress with Old School Marketing, we can tie your Facebook into it. We can tie your emails into it. We can tie a lot more into this, so you can get a more holistic view of what's going on with your marketing that you're pushing through Old School Marketing. So I've developed this for a much different future than what we're currently using it for. But it's very robust, and we can do almost anything with the software. And if I can't, I'm going to find a way to do it anyway. So that's in the beginning. If all you're doing is direct mail, all you're going to get is analytics from a phone perspective. But in the end, as we're progressing down in a much different path, there's a lot of things that can be tied into it. You can get a very holistic view of what's going on with my agency from a marketing perspective. I can't track billboards. I can't track a magazine, but anything digital, anything direct mail with a phone, all that can be tracked through this. As far as AAV, this has nothing to do with Allstate at all. So as long as you've got access to a web browser, you've got access to your analytics, and it's yours.
Yeah, and something else that we teach, and that is so amazing. That is so amazing that you guys offer that as an add-on. Y'all, you're getting calls after hours.
All day long.
I'm telling you, somebody's got your letter on their kitchen counter, and it's a Saturday afternoon, and they call, and you're not there. You're at the lake, right? Your staff's with their families. Maybe someone calls at 6:05 and you closed at 5:30. So having access to see the list of the people that call, you can check it every day to look to see, hey, did we get any calls after hours? Did we get any calls this weekend? Boom, because you're paying a lot of money for these calls. You're paying a lot of money for these calls, but I promise you, some people say, I sent direct mail, I only got 7 calls. Without a call tracking system, I bet they got 15, but they missed some after hours or on the weekend, right? So that's really cool. That's an option to add on. Brian is an independent agency, and he asked about compliance with different carriers. I thought he might have been captive, so I said, hey, are you captive? Like, are you with Allstate, State Farm, Farmers? He said independent. When it comes to your own carrier and companies that you work with, y'all, you got to know what you can or can't do. I'll speak from the Allstate perspective. If you're with Allstate, you're able to send out your own direct mail. You just can't use the Allstate logo, right? You use your own face, your own picture, your own logo, and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to compliance, that might vary by carrier, by company. You gotta know what you can do on your side. But you work with many different types of companies. Is that right?
Yeah, we work with every captive agency you can think of, as well as every independent. We are our own independent as well. We've got a small independent here in our little town. I can't get out of the insurance world. I love it. So yeah, and you're absolutely right, Joseph. But the truth is the flyer shouldn't have a lot of marketing to it as far as like logos and stuff like that. But we can. So it depends on who you are, what you want. We can do pretty much anything.
All right. My friend Bob asked some questions. He said, A mailer in a big city like Atlanta, Georgia might perform differently than a small town like Athens, Alabama. Have you guys ever split tested various types of mailers, like depending on where they are and the conversion rates? He's wanting to know.
I'll take this one. So creative marketing is my cup of tea, right? And you are very right. Where you are located is going to get you a completely different response than me over here in Arkansas and you over there in Atlanta. Okay. So handwritten direct mail, it's handwritten. They're going to open it. That's great. But you have a point, maybe someone in Kansas is going to look at that handwritten envelope and say, wow, they took the time to handwrite this for me. That's great. I love this guy. Versus somebody in New York City just got 50 mailers, right? And he's just flipping through it and it doesn't sell that main point. So we have a lot of different options to work with you on this that are not even handwritten. We can do a windowed envelope with a check inside and say, hey, we could be saving you this much. We can do a picture of the house on the envelope, right? We can do handwritten, but on the inside, it's a completely different flyer that does have that, this is what your savings is mindset instead of this is what you would be paying mindset. Different flyers that we have created when you go through your onboarding process, your rep will walk you through. This flyer is to sell you as that family guy, right? You're that family insurance agency. Let my family help yours. This flyer is straight to the point. He breaks it down, makes it simple. This flyer sells you as that corporate Allstate agent or that corporate agent who knows what they're doing. And it's all going to depend on where you're located. So yeah, we do work with you in regards to different campaigns based off of where you're located.
And you're very customizable. You guys can do a lot of things. Many of the other vendors out there are great, but they have like 4 templates, right? Like you guys will get really nitty gritty and can do a lot of customization, which is fantastic. My friend Lori asked earlier, I think we answered this, but I just want to make sure I get to Lori's question because she's awesome. Do you go by zip codes or counties or both? And do I own those? We already said, yes, you would own the zips. Do you do it zip by zip, county by county, state?
Depends on the campaign. So condos, we will do county. There's just not a whole lot of condos when you're sitting in Little Rock, Arkansas, right? So we're going to pull that by county. Or if you're home, we do it based by zip. So typically what an agent will, they'll either A, know what zip codes they want, or B, they'll say, do a 100-mile radius from my agency. Or some will come to me and say, I don't care, what do you have available, right? So yes, you're right. Those are owned specifically by you. But again, it just depends on the campaign.
All right, good stuff. Let's see here. Email. We already talked about the email quality and stuff like that. Can you give any, idea in terms of like what the open rate is on some of your campaigns? Are they hitting the inbox instead of the spam? You talked about having your own IP address and stuff like that. Can you talk just a little bit more about that? Because Bob is interested in the email ability.
You bet. So Bob, here's my best answer, and that's about as good as it's going to get. I mean, it's probably 75% accurate what I'm getting ready to say. So we're going to go out there. Let's say we're sending out 10,000 direct mail pieces. We're going to go pair and parse that data, and we're going to try and find email addresses for those 10,000. Reality is we're probably going to end up with about 4,000. So we'll get 4,000 email addresses. Those 4,000 email addresses will be loaded into the software. Of those 4,000, I would say 20% of them are bad. Yeah, we paid for it. There's no guarantee. It just is what it is. Welcome to the data world. So we lose 20% right up front, and that is what it is. So, and then we get into the actual sending out. So after the second to third email blast, your data starts curating and starts becoming more solid. So your first email blast, we're going to lose another 20% right up front. It goes to spam, it gets blocked, they unsubscribe, they do whatever they're going to do. And we're left with, let's just say, 3,000 emails. And from that point in time, then it just keeps getting better and better. People will start unsubscribing, or they'll add their friends, or things start curating over time. So the more that we email these people, the better the data starts getting. But your first pass through, it's always painful. We're going to lose 20, 30% up front. Then we're going to lose some over time. But in general, you're going to win because we've got a direct mail campaign. Then you got your emails. and things will start meshing over time. And you don't lose those emails. Those emails stick with your campaign as you progress over the months. So I've got some agents, I mean, we're looking at 10, 20,000 emails that we're managing, and their messages are going out, and that's a big deal. So it's a good program. There's nothing bulletproof. Email is not a perfect science.
Definitely not. But it's something that's an awesome add-on. What intrigues me the most is the social add-on, right? To be able to try to target those people. How cool would it be, if they see, do you use the informed delivery? I'm talking about the USPS informed delivery, where you can actually get an email every morning and it tells you what letters you're getting. Do y'all have that? Do y'all use that? Like, I'm talking as an individual. Do you know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. USPS. Like, it's amazing. I love it, y'all. USPS. What is it called? Is it called informed delivery? Daily digest. I'm not going to share my screen because then everybody have my physical mailing address and they want to send me Taco Bell gift cards. Y'all, I accept Taco Bell gift cards, but don't do that. Y'all keep your money, okay? Y'all, is amazing. The USPS informed delivery, millions of Americans are signed up for it. Millions get an email every single morning from the United States Postal Service saying, hey, here's a picture of all the mail that's coming. How cool would it be if they see that? What's this hand addressed letter? They open it. Insurance marketing, whatever. 3 days later, they're on Facebook and they're scrolling and they see your targeted ad. How beautiful. How cool is that? So the fact that you guys added that since we last talked is an awesome upgrade. And y'all hear Rusty's brain's always ticking, right? He's thinking of even more ways to expand their offerings. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for attending this call. I got to give one last plug to Michaela and Rusty. They're fantastic to work with. I would just encourage you to reach out. Are they cool? Just like email you and maybe set up a call like with you or one of your team?
Just send me an email. My work email is right there. So send me an email first and foremost, and then either I or one of my reps or we'll get with you in the next 24 hours.
Wow. Okay. I hope you're ready. Because it seems like there's a lot of interested people. Well, Rusty, Michaela, thank you for your partnership with CBC. I cannot wait to see you in Vegas. Everybody that's coming to Vegas, make sure you stop by their booth and talk even more closely with them. But really, you need to get ahead of the line. I wouldn't wait. Reach out, start these conversations now. And I just think you guys are awesome. And I really appreciate what you're doing. I think it's really awesome. Any final thoughts from you, Rusty or Michaela?
Yeah, just one thing. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I currently own 7 companies and continuing to buy and sell more. And so if anybody needs any help out there, just know I'm here. I'm willing to get on the phone and just give you thoughts, ideas. And that's my strength, is just coming up with different weird ideas that work. So use me if you need me.
Very cool. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we got to get back to work. We've got policies to write and people to protect. I hope that you have a great rest of the day, great rest of the week. We are now in the second half of the year, right? Tons of time to exceed your goals. If I and Craig Wiggins Coaching can help you in any way, please feel free to reach out to me as well, joseph@craigwigginscoaching.com. Thank you, Michaela. Thank you, Rusty. Thank you all. Now, let's get back to work. Bye-bye.
Does your business have a passion for customer service? Do you want to give your customers that personal touch? We print, pack, and hand address your marketing material and ship it directly. At Olde School Marketing, we're just crazy enough to hand address every envelope. A handwritten envelope is 6 times more likely to get read than a printed one. Give your customers a personal touch that will lead to lasting business relationships with Olde School Marketing.